You're grinding every day. Long hours, no backup, no accountability. That ends now. The Empower Solopreneur Mastermind gives you one simple advantage: a weekly power session that turns isolation into domination. Every Friday morning on Zoom, you'll get real coaching and real feedback to make real moves. Join a group of driven professionals in a program designed for solopreneurs and people working at home. Stop getting stuck. Start scaling. Seats are limited. Lock in yours today at modernobserver.com/empower-mastermind.
Hello, and welcome to the Success Showcase, the podcast that helps you succeed in your business, life, and career. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin from the Modern Observer Group, and with me, as always, is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing fabulous. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Yes, as we record this, we are just about to head into Christmas week, and, I know a lot of people, they've got a couple of days left to the year that they're working. Some have already shut down for the year and they're just enjoying the holidays. So we're going to be talking today about the holiday spirit and why do we limit it to just these few weeks?
Absolutely. We're going to talk about a lot of positive things on this. And if you take notes and whatever, just make a New Year's resolution to carry what we say forward through next year. It'll make it a better year for you and everybody else you come in contact with.
Exactly. And that's actually the key to what we're talking about, is making 2026 that much better, not just for you, but for the folks around you. And it starts with what I call the power of polite. And we have lost this simple ability to be polite. Now, I'm not even talking about tolerance. I'm talking about the basics, saying thank you, you're welcome. Again, we've had, it's now well over a year ago, we had the author Bob Berg from The Go-Giver on, and we talked about one of the rules in The Go-Giver is that you have to be willing to receive as well as give. Well, say thank you to somebody, and you'll see just how few people are unwilling to receive, because nobody wants to say you're welcome. It's always, oh, it was nothing. No problem. Oh, don't mention it. Rather than simply acknowledging that, yes, you did something and you're welcome.
Yeah. The bottom line is you really do feel good when somebody says that to you, because of our own supposed inferiority complex and the way we're supposed to react and so on and so forth. We always talk about the circle. And if you don't accept the gratitude and the thanks from somebody, you're breaking the circle and everything stops. But it's the act, it's the thanks, it's the you're welcome. And that's what keeps the whole thing going. And if you can just look in that mirror every morning and realize that person there was pretty cool, and it's okay to celebrate yourself and be kind to yourself and so on and so forth. And not from arrogance, but from the fact that that's just the way it is. That's the way that we were all created and meant to be. And when you're feeling genuine joy because of interacting with other people and things that you've done. And so if they come back and they appreciate you for that, that's fantastic. Just say, thanks. Can I do anything else for you?
Exactly. So the power of polite is little things that you don't think about doing, and we really should be. And it's not just, going out of your way. It's things that you should be doing automatically that we've gotten out of the habit of. And I actually, a while back, I had put together a list of little things that you should be doing on a day-to-day basis that people have stopped doing. And I mean, some of them are simple courtesy. Don't throw your trash on the floor. When you go shopping, put your shopping cart back. Don't just leave it out in the parking lot. When you also in parking lots, make sure you're only taking up one space. These are little things. We shouldn't be having to think about or even remind people to do them. We should be doing these automatically, and yet we don't. We have lost the power of polite, and it's really time to bring that back.
Yep, and you make a good point. Next time you're out shopping and you see a shopping cart sitting in the middle of the parking lot, you're going in the store anyway, bring it in. I made a habit of doing that years ago, and, it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing to do, and the bottom line is the people who are working at the stores, without thanks for anything, have to go out and shag it anyway, so when you're helping them out a little bit, that's just a great habit to get into. It's just really front of mind, thinking of something positive that you can do to help people out. And that's one of the simplest things you possibly can do. If there's a shopping cart next to your car when you park, bring it into the store.
Right. And, supermarkets, Walmart, Target, things like that, these have become minefields because people have forgotten how to be polite. So, a couple of other things to do. When you're walking down the aisle, don't block the entire aisle. Leave room for somebody to get past you.
Yeah.
These aren't it I mean, this is not rocket science here.
Yeah.
These are little things we should be doing that actually end up, when you do them all, having huge effects on people. I have had a couple of times over the past few weeks. I'm not a terribly tall person, but I'm of average height. And I have had some very short women walk over to me and say, "Could you please help me out? I can't reach what I'm trying to get. It's on the top shelf." It takes you 2 seconds to help them out. Do it. You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. And I mean, if you see somebody that you know is gonna struggle with that, so take the extra step and say, "Hey, can I help you get something?"
Yes.
Plain and simple. That's and the bottom line is you probably made that person's day and you also made your own. So, I mean, if you just look for opportunities to do good, I mean, I always talk about when you're dealing with people, make every day find somebody doing something good day. Be that person yourself. Just look for it and do it.
Right. And all of these little things add up. So I started out saying about the holiday season. It's like there's a certain air around us at the holiday season. We're extra nice to people. It's like, well, why should we be stopping on January 2nd? Keep this going by doing these little things. And not just for other people, but for yourself as well. We've fallen into, especially over the past 5 years, some really bad habits that are dragging ourselves down. And one of them is simply not getting up and getting moving. So many people work at home now, work remotely. And what do? Well, they wait till the last minute to wake up. They'll scarf down a cup of coffee and go sit in front of the computer, and they'll be wearing their pajamas. Well, you know what? When you don't get dressed in the morning, it actually has a negative effect on your attitude because you go into the day with the attitude of, why bother? It's not worth it. Well, guess what? It is worth it because it affects your attitude, it affects your mindset, and it affects the mindset of the folks around you. And unfortunately, this is again one of those habits that starts to spread. I know I'm not the only person who has gone into Walmart and seen people walking around in their pajamas. It's like it's great to wear pajamas to relax at night or, if you're lounging around the house. But if you're working, if you're going outside, take the extra step and actually get dressed. I'm not talking about putting on a suit. I'm just talking about getting yourself up and moving. It can be comfortable. It can be, something casual, but it should be something suitable to be seen in. You want to look like if you run into somebody that you haven't seen in a while, you want them to think, hey, you look great. You don't want them thinking, oh, wow, you've turned into a slob.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about this many, many times before. We talked about starting and forming new habits. And one of the easiest things that you can do is form a positive morning routine, which includes maybe doing a little bit of exercise and this and that, whatever, a little bit maybe of gratitude journaling or positive reinforcement. But if you get up every morning, have a glass of water, and just walk around for 5, 10 minutes, that's a start. And maybe you want to do something a little bit more, maybe a little bit of weights, this and that, whatever. But there's a book called The Miracle Morning written by Hal Elrod. And I highly recommend just going through that because there's a bunch of little different teasers that you can do there. And one of the first things you can do is when you get out of bed, just like you're saying, get dressed, but make your bed and
Yep.
start everything. Basically, if you're in the house, once you're done eating dinner, do the dishes. I mean, all these different things will, number one, you'll feel great after you do that. But number two, if you're walking around a clean house, we talked about positive mindset, you control that. And there's a lot of different things that you can do to just make yours better just by, if I'm talking about maybe 5 or 10 extra minutes a day to do these different things that we don't do during the day that can really make a huge, huge, huge difference. That's all the time it takes to really get things going. First thing in the morning, doing the dishes and so on and so forth. So, again, these are things we're talking about right now. The dishes will probably be a lot longer now because it's the holidays, but once you get into it, you're going to be cruising into 2026. But it's, just get into these things right now. So take out a sheet of paper and just write down a couple of things that you're going to do that are very, very simple that you can do. So get up every morning at and get out of bed and get dressed and do some stuff to really, really just get your brain cells going for the day. And you will really, really cruise through the day with a lot more positive attitude just by doing that. I know it, I'm exhibit A because up until about 10 years ago, I was one of those guys that just got up every day and said, oh boy.
Yeah, it's a matter of doing little things and doing them over and over again. Yeah, how many times have we, oh, I have to clean the kitchen. Oh, I hate doing that. Well, what happens when you put it off is it just gets worse. But if you just do something small, you finish dinner, you do the dishes. While you're doing the dishes, take a cup of water, put it in the microwave, and nuke it on high for 10 minutes. Why are you doing this? Because the steam from the water as it boils is cleaning the microwave so that when you actually do have to scrub it, it takes you so much less time. Then I do that. I take the hot water out of the microwave. I pour a little bit of it on the stove top. And then I just grab a sponge or a paper towel and wipe it up. I've just cleaned up whatever mess I made with when I was cooking dinner. The whole thing takes a grand total of a minute and a half more than just doing the dishes. And I've saved myself a lot of time over the weekend because now I don't have to go and scrub things down. It's already clean.
Yeah, that one I hadn't heard of before, but that makes a whole lot of a whole lot of sense. Steam works.
Yes. I mean, if you haven't done it in a while, there's a couple of things you can do to make it even more effective. You can go out, buy yourself a lemon, squeeze the lemon juice in the water before you heat it up. The lemon juice also, because it's acidic, it also helps to get rid of all the grime. Same thing with white vinegar. You put a little bit of white vinegar in the water, cleans it right up. These are little things, and, most of us have these things in the house. We don't even have to think about it. But doing all of these little things, cleaning up after yourself, straightening up a room before you leave, before you go to sleep. Don't leave things strewn all over the living room. Guess what? When you walk into the living room the next morning and it's clean, you're in a better mood. Because when we leave things around, when we leave the place a mess, our outer environment affects our inner environment and vice versa. It actually becomes a snowball effect. And it'll make you feel worse and worse leaving this stuff to do. And then, of course, it becomes a major task to clean the house, and everybody hates doing that. But if you do things little by little for yourself, for others, again, nothing we've talked about so far is a major effort.
Well,
These
the
are
bottom line, you're gonna have to do it anyway at some point in time. So, I mean, we talked about getting up in the morning and stuff like that and just really not doing anything, and I think part of the problem is if you know that you gotta get up and do the dishes and you gotta do this and you gotta do that and so on and so forth, all of a sudden, your mindset is horrible all night long, and so the bottom line is if you do this before you go to bed and everything is clean, it's gonna help you sleep better too. I mean, there's a whole lot of benefits just by doing this. So, I mean, what I highly recommend is just write down a few different things that you know you're neglecting on a day-to-day basis and write down how much time you think it would take to do those on a daily basis. And it'll become crystal clear that a little time invested while you're doing things and getting it cleaned up as soon as you're done, um, it's going to make a world of difference. And when you're talking about too, is if you haven't done it for a while, you can use the steam and lemon and so on and so forth and different things in your house and just do a once over like you had the clean person come over. And then you're going to be able to keep it in the high maintenance on a day-to-day basis. It's not hard to do. You just got to start it.
Yeah, you just have to get going. You know, the simple fact of the matter is you just have to make an effort. There is a fantastic book called Take the Stairs by Rory Vaden, and it's all about making that little extra effort and the effect that that has on your point of view, on your mindset, on your attitude, and how it rubs off on other people. And, we've been talking about things around the house or things in the supermarket, but the same thing goes for work. When you put in that little extra effort, and I'm literally talking about a little extra effort. Nothing we've talked about is a major push. But when you do this each day, it makes you feel better. It makes the people around you feel better. It changes your environment. You know, everybody's got, the linen closet that we know we need to clean out. Well, you know what? Clean one shelf. Just straighten one shelf. Then, next weekend, you get another shelf. Doesn't take as long, but little by little, you're getting control over your environment. Vacuuming. Most people actually, and there was actually a study done on this. Most people, the only time they vacuum is when they know somebody is coming over to the house. Well, you know what? If you just did it really quickly, once a week or once every 2 weeks, pretend you're having guests. And, that's something else. I talked about the fact that we've lost the power of polite, but I think guests have something to do with this because years ago, you would drop in on people unannounced. Hey, I was in the neighborhood, thought I'd drop by. When was the last time anybody dropped by your house unannounced that you actually wanted to see and it wasn't a salesman? You know,
You're right. I mean, growing up, I remember those things, but I can't remember the last time that's happened. Maybe once or twice in the last couple of years, but it's fantastic when it happens. I mean, it's really nice now with our son's grown up. Every once in a while, they both had a lot of friends. Every once in a while, one of their friends that they grew up with might be in town and just stop by out of the blue. And my wife and I are thrilled just to have that interaction. And both of my sons, especially the one that has the kids, still have a lot of friends in the area. And it's so fantastic when they actually invite their friends with their kids over to our house. And it's like a big romper room. And it's fantastic. I mean, the bottom line is people are meant to be with people. And this time of year is just a great time of year to go out and get that going again. So even if you're not just going to stop by somebody, pick up the phone and call somebody, maybe set up a time to do that, meet for coffee or stop by, tell them you'll do the vacuuming, whatever. But it's really, really a great time of year to just reach out. I mean, you talk about putting your best foot forward. You got to put it forward in the first place just to get things going. So just step up and do it.
Yeah, and that's the key is step up. You know what? Again, we're not talking about anything major. We're not talking about anything that costs money. We're just talking about doing little things a little better and having big effects from that. And sometimes it's a matter of your words. I mentioned earlier how people don't tend to say you're welcome now. They poo-poo it. But when you're talking to somebody, you know what? It costs you nothing to say, you know what? I really appreciate the fact that you called. Or if you're the one that called, I just wanted to say, I really appreciate that you're in my life. I value that. And it doesn't have to be a big deal. And you know what? A lot of times it will shock people. It'll take them by surprise. And I actually did this just the other day. I called up my sister to wish her a happy holidays. And I told her, you know what? I want you to know I really do appreciate you. We don't talk as much as we probably should. We both have very busy lives, so we try to get a hold of each other when we can. And of course, social media, we'll send each other messages from time to time, but we don't actually talk all that often. So when we did have the chance to talk, I told her, you know what? I want you to know I appreciate you. And it took her by surprise. It was, that little effort made a big impact. And there's nothing stopping you from doing this all year long. We started doing this at the Modern Observer Group a couple of years ago. We started a challenge. We actually started it right after COVID. Every holiday season, we would challenge people to find 10 people, 20 people that they hadn't spoken to in a while and just go out and, give them a call, send them an email, tell them you're thinking about them. Well, the folks, Bill Carell and Jan Jeremias, who co-host our sister podcast, Lighting the Candle, A World That Works, took that challenge when I asked them to announce it on their podcast and actually did me one better. And they finish every episode all year long with this request to go out and do this. And they're right. It shouldn't be a holiday thing. It should be all year long.
Yeah. And imagine what the world would be like if people just did even a little bit of that. This is a time of year. Sometimes you're going to parties and getting together with friends and family and so on and so forth. And sometimes things don't go that well at those parties with friends and family and so on. One of the things that I tell people to do before you go to that party and you know who's going to be there, take out a sheet of paper and write down all the names of the people that are going to be there and write down something good about that person. And make sure that when you go to that party, that's front of mind instead of something that person did last year or 2 years ago and so on and so forth that you can't get out of your head. Because the bottom line is we're all human. We all mess up, but we are all unconditionally forgiven. And we got to start with that person in the mirror. And if you can do that and realize that even if somebody, quote unquote's done you wrong, they probably didn't do it to harm you. They did it maybe out of their own insecurities and so on and so forth, because everybody is like everybody else when it comes to that. The bottom line is don't take the other person so serious. Don't take yourself so seriously. Nobody else does. And I'm getting right back to my empty courtroom scene where we're just sitting there and we're the accused and we're the judge, but there's no jury there because everybody else is in their own courtroom worrying about themselves too. So put that in perspective. And again, just identify a few people like you're saying, just reach out to them out of the blue. But if you're going through a social situation where you're going to be with a bunch of friends and family and so on, write down the names, write down something good about them and walk up and show your appreciation, just like you did with your sister out of the blue. And that aw shucks feeling is about as good as it gets when that happens. because it is totally unexpected.
And, you mentioned, if whatever event happened that, you might have been offended by and that they did to upset you, they probably didn't do it, purposely. They might not even be aware that they did it.
Probably
Yeah.
not.
I actually had a situation a while back where somebody I hadn't spoken to in years called me out of the blue, and he actually apologized to me because he had gotten upset at something I had said. Now, I didn't even remember having the conversation. What he said, it was something that it was a fact that I had repeated numerous times, so I have no doubt that I actually said it. But it was about something he felt, very deeply about, which I didn't know he felt deeply about it. And quite frankly, since he didn't comment it at the time, it made no impact on me. But he had carried this for years until actually he watched a documentary and saw that what I had said was absolutely true. And he went, "Well, I owe you an apology." And it's like, no, you don't owe me an apology. I didn't even remember it. But this is how people interact. You don't know what somebody else is putting importance on, and they don't know what you're putting importance on. So let things go. Don't hold grudges. Because the fact of the matter is, all you're doing when you hold a grudge is letting somebody live rent free in your house. That's it. Even more than that, living rent free in your head. I mean, they're not thinking about it. Why should you? And getting back to the idea of some things you should do with holiday get togethers. You know what? We all have these office get togethers, association get togethers, chamber get togethers, whatever it is. You know what? When you're there and you're talking to somebody, take a look around. There's always one person standing off by the side all by themselves. Go say hello to them. Go see if you can talk to them, introduce them, make them feel a little better about being there. Because we've all had situations like that. So reach out.
Oh, absolutely. We talk all the time about not making assumptions about other people and not taking things personally. And the bottom line is the baggage that we carry because we do that, when in most cases the people don't even realize that something is going on. It's our own problem. So again, putting things in perspective the way things really are, you got to start appreciating that person in the mirror and sharing that wonderful person in the mirror with other people, just like we've been talking about for the last 30 minutes.
And even more than appreciating that person in the mirror, you actually have to take care of that person in the mirror. And again, it's not just about your own well-being. It affects other people. It affects how they think of you. When you walk out of the house, you go to see somebody or run into somebody at a supermarket or a store, and you're dressed as a slob. Their impression is, well, why would I trust you with anything important? You don't even care enough to take care of yourself. It's time that we took that step. Get up, step up, suit up, and get things done. We're not talking about massive effort. We're talking about little things. Take a good look at what you're wearing before you go out. Does it fit properly? Maybe it's a favorite shirt that's seen better days and should be left in the house. We've all done this. It's like, oh, it's my favorite shirt, but you don't really take a look at what you look like in it. Pay attention to the details and think about it when if you have to ask yourself, well, should I do this? Ask yourself, well, would I treat somebody like this around the holiday season? If the answer is no, don't do it the rest of the year. So just step up and treat people the way you want to be treated and the way you're treating folks right now. You're wishing people happy holidays. 3 months from now, wish them a great day. And there's always a holiday. You could, wish them a happy St. Patrick's Day. Wish them a happy Arbor Day. It doesn't even matter. It's just the thought that you want them to have a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. Today's Monday. When I send out emails today, I usually just close it up with Happy Monday or Happy Friday or whatever. Yesterday, Happy Winter. Maybe that's not too cool, but it's, again, just get into the habit of doing those things.
Right. And you say Happy Monday. There's so many people that just dread Monday. Guess what? Monday is just another day. I actually was talking to somebody this morning who they said, "Oh, it's another Monday." And I said, "No, it's not. It's a short week. It's Wednesday." And they went, "Wow, I really like that idea."
It's all perspective.
It's all in your head. Right. So I see by the old clock on the wall, that we are just about out of time. So, Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway for our listeners this week?
Well, I love the way you started this with the power of polite. If you can get that going for yourself and make a habit out of that. Albert Schweitzer said, example is not the main thing in influencing others. It is the only thing. If you can make an example by the way that you treat other people, it's going to spread. Positivity is more powerful than the worst virus that is out there, and it will spread like a wildfire. And you can start that just by being it yourself. So for your New Year's resolution and carrying it forward, just step out, be polite with people, thank people, acknowledge people. And if you start doing that, people are going to start gravitating towards you because they're going to want something that you got. And that's the way that you really, really start a movement. So throw out the media for a while and so on and so forth. You can laugh at it, but that's all you should do at it. Just be a positive person. Just go out there and you always say, make next week the best year ever, next week ever, but make next year your best year ever. Probably taking away your closing line, but anyway, speaking of that, I'd very, very, very much appreciate having done this podcast with you for the last 9 or 10 years. And it's just been a wonderful ride. And I appreciate you doing all the tech and having me along for the ride. So there you go.
I appreciate you being here as well. It's been a great partnership, and I look forward to doing this every week. I think for me, the big takeaway is the fact that nothing that we've talked about requires a lot of effort. These are all little things that we can do without even thinking about it. You just have to start doing it. So yeah, be a little more polite. Do a little bit more, and you'll see that the effects are massive. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch every episode at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcast app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and wherever you find podcasts. And yes, make this your best week ever, but make next week even better. We'll be back in 2026, and we want to make that your best year ever. We'll see you then.